Here we go again. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another fantabulous episode of the Trip Ups and Triumphs podcast. The Trip Ups and Triumphs podcast is a podcast that keeps it real about the highs and lows of life. And I, as your host, Nathan Cabrera, I dive into raw conversations about failures, comebacks, and the lessons that turn setbacks into success. Whether you're grinding through a challenge or celebrating a win, this show is here to remind you it is all a part of the journey. Expect real stories, unfiltered insights, and a few laughs along the way. Tune in and get inspired to your trip ups turning into triumphs. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. I am so glad to be doing this. This podcast has been very rewarding in so many ways, and sometimes I feel dead, exhausted, tired about what's going on in life and going on with my days and weeks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do this again. But I get to do this. So it's quite a pleasure. And it's definitely a highlight, not necessarily the recording part, because that's always fun and daunting. But yeah, just like before I came here, I needed to emotionally decompress. I came from a meeting prior to here. And so I needed to get in the mindset of recording for you all and promising you an episode every single week. I needed to ensure that my mental was good. But I have really been thankful for the reception that this broadcast has garnered. And it's those conversations that no one sees. And I know in the last couple weeks alone, since coming back with season 2, people were excited for coming back and listening to what's new, what's changed, what's different, what else is there to share. And I've been completely encouraged, and I'm so grateful for the listeners that have been here from the start. And then, of course, the new ones that keep popping up on a weekly basis, curious, having similar stories or wanting to share their own, whether it's like through the podcast or, that's going way down the line or a little too far extreme, but just being able to release those worries and those challenges, those trip ups, right? That you all have been dealing with and holding near and close to your heart and not knowing how to maneuver that. And I just want to say thank you for entrusting me with the information. I mean, I can count quite a few people in my hands that have reached out, men, women, all various different ages, which has really been cool to see that the show allows for healing and encouragement and excitement just from listening, hearing about my own story, hearing about others, or just talking about the challenges, the trip ups, the issues that we all face. We all face something, right? When we think about life, it's a journey. It's not one and done. There's a beginning and an end, but there's also the during part. And a lot of us are in the during and just trying to figure out how we make it through the day, not just the next day, but today. And again, thank you. So that being said, I did want to share some things with you all that you guys didn't let me down and or let me off the hook in not sharing, but I haven't really talked personal stuff in a minute. And I kind of wanted to share where I am now, but basically continuing on the lifeline order of operations, whatever. And I kind of left the first episode on a cliffhanger, and that was like not intentional, but intentional. Like I just left it there after it was done because I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a great way to lay it out. And yeah, lo and behold, season 2, episode 1 was one of the most viewed episodes. So apparently y'all like that. So maybe I'll have to bring that back, or the dramatization. But I believe it's also just the vulnerability and the sensitivity you all appreciate. And I don't want to say that makes me nervous, but it makes me understand why that is of priority. Being able to hear and see me be seen in a different light, especially because a lot of people have known me through social media and through events and being the public person, the forward facing. And it's like, who am I behind closed doors? Who are you behind closed doors? What masks do we wear? Because We all might be wearing some. And I think I've really tried hard to keep a reputation, mostly because of my faith, but also I always felt like it signified as a sense of strength for me because I never wanted anyone to feel sorry for me for the things that I've endured. And most of what people knew was very little. I believe I mentioned that like a friend that I've had since kindergarten, she was a teacher and they're trained on like what to spot with kids and how to intervene or ask questions and see if there's another element to their distress. And they had said they never would have guessed. None of the signs were there. And Nathan, you're so used to being someone else or wearing a mask to suppress and hide what was going on around you. And man, that really hit a nerve because I was like, dang, like even then I was fighting to be something else. Now I'm dealing with all this stuff as an adult, especially when I get into relationships, when I get into friendships, and just life in general. Life be lifing, right? How many of you feel that way? So I'm gonna go in a couple different directions, but the first thing I'll say is like I left on the very interesting note, which was, I was dating someone and wasn't fully transparent. Look, first and foremost, when you're dating someone, get it through your head. You do not want a trauma bond. You do not want to trauma dump everything on the first couple dates and all that and expect for things to be rainbows and sunshine and everything else. Not that that's, relationships don't have their ups and downs, but you need to protect yourself, especially when you don't want just any old buddy having your information and weaponizing it and manipulating and controlling. That happened to me, but we'll get into that sometime later because, yeah, that caused me quite some trip ups and emotional wear and damage that was excruciatingly harmful. And I'm pissed about it. I'm just going to be real. And if you want to know, hit me up in the DMs if you want to be nosy because I have to control myself. I can get messy. I will broadcast. I will pay for ads to at you. I will at you. I'm not afraid. But yeah, you have to be intentional, intelligent. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to be vulnerable, but be mindful in sharing that because not everybody deserves to know everything about you. And it's not because you're hiding anything. It's not because you're being fake. It is protect you. And like, it can be your character. And in some cases, like I gotta be mindful too. I have a job. I have a career. I have things of concern. And not everything is for everybody to know. It's just, that's it, point blank. And even in a relationship, like if some of you won't agree, that's fine. Enjoy your trauma bonds, enjoy your relationships. One thing that I did not mention about the love thing last week, there's a lot of people in love. There's a lot of people in relationships that they ain't really like wanting, but because they got a baby bop, they're stuck with each other or they felt like they settled for less. That's not what I plan on doing if I even get in a relationship at all. So I encourage you to do better, reserve yourself, and go for the best. Go for your best. And if you're A plus, go for A pluses. Don't be going for no B minus, C's. I'm terrible. Oh my gosh. But on the other hand, I wanted to rewrite my narrative. I wanted to take control over my story. Because in fear that someone else would share it wrong and tell the story wrong. Make a fairy tale out of my story. But you ain't gonna have that opportunity. You won't get the chance because I'm sharing it. And there's a lot of that I'm not necessarily proud of, but I can't change the past. I can acknowledge, I can be self-aware, and today and onward, I can do and be better. And I do believe in some sense, not broadcasting, but exposure leads to a lot of healing exposure takes away the power from that shame, that guilt, and destructive thing that you deal with, or things. The secrets, the lack of openness will make you reserved and anxious and feel like you can't share. And then when you do share, things boom, blow up in your face. Yeah, that stuff happens. Sucks. But basically, if it wasn't clear enough, let me just get to the chase here. I was in a relationship. This was years ago. I was working in state government. And at this point, I believe I had been irresponsibly promiscuous, exploring, and very much seeking a thrill and an adrenaline rush. And interestingly enough, someone reached out to me and sent me a message and threatened me, which I thought was interesting because I was like, wait, I didn't even put that episode out yet. And then that was the next episode that was coming up a week later. And they were like, I don't appreciate you putting out this. And I'm like, I didn't even do anything. And then I was blocked. So whatever. If you're listening, I'll fight you. I will throw hands. I don't care what you got to say. Because you a bum. You a bum. And I was too. But a different kind. They're still being bummy. But anyway, I'm not trying to throw shots. I just was taken off guard. But that's how my life works. Like I said, y'all, I believe in the spiritual. And I believe there was some intent to throw me off and misalign me. So, yeah, that text was or that message was 4 a.m. I'm like, what is going on here? So what did I do? I put out, a couple of those episodes. And if you don't know what episode I'm talking about, you got to go back and it'll make more sense when you put it all together. And just an FYI, just because I have episodes doesn't mean you have to listen to them all or you have to go in order or any particular order. It don't matter. Maybe the first couple in season 1 because I chronologically go through my life. Doesn't everybody like the sign? Anybody that's watching, we like the sign. I still got to figure out how to make it here's my perfectionist. Perfect. So the shine doesn't shine. And then you can visibly see it. And I don't know, I gotta make it look sexier in here. But anyhow, I was involved with someone for quite a bit. And when I say involved, it's a situationship. Nobody likes situationships. And if you don't know what a situationship, let me just tell you, it is a mislabeled, not really a relationship, but you think you're friends with benefits, but that friendship is kind of on the rails. And then you got all these other feelings and you're like, what's going on? It's just it's a hot mess. 0 stars. I don't recommend. And I felt super guilty because I knew this person and I didn't want to do it anymore. And then I did, and then I didn't. And then I tried to get away, and then they sent me a tape with them and someone else. I was like, what the heck is going on here? So then I went into a downward spiral of meeting up with other people. And I got a rush from that. I'm not gonna lie, it was exciting. It was thrilling. I felt wanted. It was a big boost to my ego, my self-esteem, which I'll touch on a lot of that stuff in more detail later, but I didn't realize my self-esteem was so freaking low. And even now, I still try to build it and strengthen it. It's like a muscle and diffusing all the lies and focusing on the truths. Now, if you ugly, you just can't fix that. But that's not everything. It's not always about looks, y'all. Come on now. But we're all uniquely beautiful in our own special ways. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Y'all ain't buying it, are y'all? Okay. But, I just felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I had to be better looking, better at being attractive. I had to, overly work out and do all these different things to kind of be more pleasant to these freaking apps that we shouldn't use because they're all trash. And I think I already talked about that trash more than once. they suck. We're all just like broken people meeting up with other broken people and then doing broken people things and having attachment issues. And yeah, recipe for disaster. Needless to say, I'll just like fast forward because I don't know. I feel like I touched on this, and if people feel like I didn't already go in detail enough, then we'll revisit this. But basically, I was being like uber irresponsible. I could not focus on anything productive during my day, during my evenings, other than whipping out my phone, talking to people, messaging, and meeting up. I mean, it was so transactional. It was not me. I'd never done that before. But I mean, this was a part of me and it's now part of my history, if you will. And what I didn't mention is like at one point or another, like I was dating someone who I really liked and they were sweet and I was pretty settled. She was nice. She was super sweet, you know? And then I came to a point because that was like my first like real relationship. And then all these real problems started coming up like that had never been addressed, that had been buried. I didn't even know they were issues, right? Because when you don't address those parts of your life and you keep burying them, those coping mechanisms, that might be a more unhealthy way or less helpful way, I'll prefer saying, of navigating through them. And so our minds bury them, put them away in a box and say, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll deal with it later. And then those days never come until a situation comes up where it brings out that sense of anxiety and scaries. And it caused me to dissociate and disconnect from someone that I enjoyed being around and how they made me feel. I'm really good at self-sabotaging. I'm sure some of you are nodding your heads like, oh yeah, that's me too. Yeah, I good at that. And so not wanting to deal with this person and everything that comes with building a relationship, I was like, let me go back to what I know and what feels comfortable. And so I met someone else at the same time, and that was disastrous. They were really controlling, very manipulative, very scary, and very dark. A loner, pretty depressing, and not someone that I would typically go for because of their habits, their ways, and persona. That was a really sad time for me. That was like 2018, honestly. I think it was 2018. I was battling with like self-worth and all these other insecurities started coming up. I was working out heavily and I also stopped eating like at all. Food was making me sick. Like I couldn't stomach eating. Even when I tried to eat some of my favorite foods, I convinced myself that I was not hungry and I was still functioning. But what was crazy is it did not stop there. And at some point, I was dating two people at the same time and still meeting other people. Tell me how that works. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I mentioned like in one of the episodes how I felt so bad for my dog. Like I left her. This was when she was crate trained before I installed the doggy door because I just have like PTSD from that. I would leave in the morning for work, go home, visit one person, come home, take the dog out, put her back in, then go visit that person and then visit the other person. And then I might meet up with someone, a stranger. Boom. Yeah, I would do that over and over. There was a time where I was doing that. There was a time where I was solid, and then there was a time where I wasn't. And then I was like, okay, well, if I'm just dealing with two people is easier than a bunch of people. And my gosh, no, it wasn't. I think I was balancing three relationships at once. Yeah. Good times. Yeah. I don't mind sharing certain things. You know, we can fill the blanks. Scary times because when I look back, my body was gone. I was skinny. My back had like welts and it was almost like I was disfigured. I was being disfigured. So I was going through emotional distress, physically and spiritually. I was just exhausted, weak, frail, if you will. And then displeasing everybody, because how can you effectively be in a relationship with someone when you got a bunch of other someones? And then on top of that, like, how can you even be a friend? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's a lot. And then to even try to like work effectively, it's just, Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah. Not pretty. And I've opened up to some people about this in my real life in person, y'all. And that's in the past, and no one would ever have thought that I would have been capable of that. I didn't know, and even like people that I dated after, they were like, "That is just not Nathan. Like, who was that?" And I would agree. I'm like, I have no idea. I just boom, another sound effect. It's just like things boiled over. I was also dealing with like abandonment, rejection, self-esteem. Now we got an eating disorder here. And I use some of these terms loosely as well, probably because I work for the government, y'all. And nothing has been clinically put, but I was underweight. I was underweight. Maybe I'll post pictures, but yeah, it was just like a grown man and looking like a teen, because their their weight to me. So eventually that's when I said, I have a problem and it needs to be addressed. I don't know who to go to, what the heck to do. And if some people knew about this, they would be highly disappointed, or like having my rear end and saying, "Boy, what is going on?" And that's when I was like, well, I got medical insurance. Let me go see a therapist. I really don't know what sparked that, but I really was like, I need like help outside of myself. I've been trying to do it solo. I've been trying to do it right. And I've been trying to get myself out of this mess. And there must be bigger issues here. And of course, like, there's connections to like how we respond to things, our coping mechanisms, how we react, or how we communicate or effectively communicate and ineffectively, or how we maneuver relationships and navigate friendships. All those things that we do are based around our upbringing and the things that have impacted us, our trip ups, all of that. And so I remember like trying to figure out who the heck to see, what to tell them, how to tell them, all that. And I did. And I'm so glad that I took that step. And so if you are tasked with something that just seems so overbearing, or even it's just like you're being more self aware and you're asking yourself, like, why am I stuck? Or I have something that I can't share with anybody else and I just don't know how to deal with it. I really encourage you to take that next step to your personal growth journey. There's therapists out there that will 100% help you. I'll refer you to some. Maybe a therapy isn't what you need. Maybe you need coaching. You're going through some personal things or some business problems, and your direction seems unclear. And so you need a accountability person, someone that can support you and also help you through your personal growth journey. I have connections for life coaches as well, if you need that as a resource. But do something. I've chosen both at points of my life, and it has been really fruitful. I have taken advantage of it to the fullest extent. And there is times where I'm doing multiple sessions in a week. They don't advise that, but I just had so much to unpack. And specifically during that time, 28 years or however many years it was during that time, that I needed to get together. I was 26. Yeah. I don't know, y'all. I was younger. And like I said, I'm glad that I took the step of going to therapy. I used that to work on myself. I made decisions, even if they could have been the wrong one, but they were the right one, and I can't change it. Well, I can't change the past. And my heart goes out to the person. They're married now, and they don't know anything about this unless they see this video. And for that, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't waste your time. Nothing but love for you. And I'm sorry I wasn't what you wanted or and needed. You thought I was, but at some stage in my life, I could have been, but it wasn't. But kudos to you. Hope you're having a good life. You dodged a bullet. Hey. And so I had dumped one person, and it was out of the options, like, Lord, I dumped the one that was probably the most helpful for me, but self-sabotage and, just being in the middle of it and kind of just being, I don't know, in my feeling some type of way that I wanted to be with the bad one, the one that I shouldn't have been with. And in a way, that was the right decision because I was saving that person from me. And so I actually cared. So I was like, I need to get this person away from me before I do damage to them. And I dealt with the discourse. Then I came to, and person was a sucker. They were a jerk. And they reached out to me a couple times, even years past later, still doing the same thing, moved, but still wanting me. Like, what? Come on now. We can't. This ain't the game of life or Monopoly or shoots and ladders. I ain't trying to take 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. No, I ain't doing all that. So, but back then, they really played with my mental and just talked further about like why I was working out and gaining weight or that no one's going to love me. Just all these different things that somehow our minds just latch onto. And again, I have notes for an upcoming episode about, the power of words even and how detrimental it is to building someone's portfolio, their life makeup, their model behavior because of the things you say and you do to somebody. Like, why would you do that? So I wasn't being treated right. I was more anxious than I had ever been in my life. I didn't even know I had anxiety until that point. And it was really catching up to me and impacting who I was, who I wanted to be. And yeah, I never want to be that low again. I even like, why am I sharing this? Y'all, because of my malpractice, sometimes when you do things you shouldn't be doing repetitiously with multiple people, things happen. And so stuff happened. And I had to go to the doctors. I even got a needle in my booty. So I learned my lesson. Or did I? Y'all, at least you're not getting me crying today. I can't give y'all that again. I know y'all don't want to see me cry again. I've been boo-hooing for 2 months. And you would think that I would have stopped meeting people, but for whatever reason, I was just trying to fill a void. And what I learned and continue to learn is that you try to reenact your trauma, which is crazy to me. Like I was trying to reenact my childhood trauma and my abuses and trying to get a sense of fulfillment through sexual activity, also trying to get the emotional and relational connection that I so desired. And it's like, it's the 12-year-old, it's that 4-year-old, it's that 15-year-old that really wanted it, that wanted it in the present too. Like that was that was the individual I was nurturing at the time in my late 20s. It was like, where did this come from? And so I acted out. The person said that I was like, I'll just end up on the apps again and da 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 da. And for a while I wasn't. And then I was. Some miraculous stuff actually happened in the intervention because I had some really special people around me that knew something wasn't right. And what's crazy is some of them didn't even like physically see me. Spiritually, they were being alerted and were like, there is something wrong here. Look, the first time that I ever went out for a hookup, this is going to sound so bizarre, but just so you know where I'm coming from, y'all know I love me some Jesus. And I've told a lot of people this story. Like, it's crazy. It is so crazy. But I knew this lady that went to my church. Old lady, she adored me. She was so sweet. Her name was Margaret. And the night before Sunday service, I was driving home. Well, first of all, I met somebody at a bar. You ain't gonna catch me at no daggone bar, but I mean, it was a bar restaurant, so I'll give it that. 2 in the morning, eating for a drink. I didn't even know what to order. I was like, give me something that tastes good. And then they propositioned me to go to their house. And mind you, I felt like I was significantly outclassed because they were like extremely beautiful. And I was like, there's be no way that I'd get somebody like that. But they found me attractive. And I was like, all right, cool. Just feeding my ego. And I followed them to their house. And let me tell you, I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get motivated, if you know what I mean. I was just like in over my head. I don't know what was going on. I was like, why am I here? And we ended up taking a pause, just laying there, saying, like, are you good? And I'm like, yeah. They were like, you seem genuine. You don't seem like a lot of the other people I meet. And I'm like, oh God, what is happening? And so I just ended up leaving there. And yeah. Sped home, starting to become daylight, so I had not slept. I ain't gonna tell you what happened after that because this is recorded, but if you want to know, comment what happened in the chats. If you're on Spotify, you can comment. If you're on YouTube, you can comment, say what happened, and we can schedule a call because I am not telling you what happened on video because that's blackmail. And yeah, we ain't doing all that. Okay. So anyway, I pulled up at home and I went to sleep for literally a half hour because I had to go to church, baby. I had to go see Jesus, but I was not okay. I was frantic, and this is obviously taking you back. Like I don't even know. It all something that I realize is my brain like forgets so much because it's like it just buries it and just doesn't want to remember. So it's done a good job of just trying to be like forgetful. And I don't even drink alcohol. That's what's crazy. It's like I don't drink alcohol, so it just all just disappears. But anyhow, that morning I walked in and the lady like stopped me at the door and was like, "Hey, baby," and I was like, "Hey." She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." She's like, "Are you sure? Because the Lord woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to pray for you." And I was stunned because I don't really have a recollection of time other than like I arrived at the bar at 2, but I literally pulled up to this person's house. I remember this. Like I pulled and parked in front of their house and it was 4 o'clock. And I was like, do I go in? Do I not? Do I go in? Like, what is this going on? This is new to me. I shouldn't be doing this. I don't want to do this, but I want to. And that really shook me up. So I will share that. If you're more interested in that, the spiritual stuff, hit me up, DM me as well for that, because there's a lot. But anyway, I separated from this crazy person, this manipulative person that was really destroying me from the inside out. And I did end up doing exactly what they said that I would do, which was go back on those apps and be lonely again. And I did it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it was out of control. You know, that you think like the consequences, repercussions would have stopped me, but I don't even know who that person was. Like it is crazy. It is so destructive. Even if you don't think it is, it most definitely is. There's something that happens when you are intimate with a person in that way. I don't care if you drug yourself or drink. You are having a bond with that person. And at the very least, one of you is feeling something and getting hurt. And for the one that really thinks that otherwise, you are just becoming really hard-hearted. And that's a really terrible thing. Hard-heartedness is really ugly. You become someone that is hard to love and someone that is difficult to be able to experience true love and get help, honestly. get help because that is so unhealthy. Again, I don't care if you're sex positive like that. Man, like have some self respect and respect the other person because odds are you're not thinking about things in the same way, or you're probably both broken and trying to deal and using this as a coping mechanism. I encourage you to watch the last 2 episodes where I cover more about like sex and stuff. It can be very confusing. But that being said, the moral that I wanted you all to get today is really just where can we take an internal look within ourselves that we need to uncover, that we need to expose, and that maybe we need a little help and intervention from because we've been trying to deal with it by ourselves and have not been successful. We've tried and tried, we've tried, and we just can't seem to get past these thoughts or these feelings or this trauma that we experience, or you don't realize that there's a trauma connection to what you're currently facing. Like we're all we're all dealing with some really heavy stuff. Some of us are dealing with our significant others, right? Like a spouse and you're fighting constantly, or you're in the battle of a really ugly divorce and it's taken its toll. And you're like, how did I get here? At what point? Like, I never anticipated this, and this is what I was trying to prevent. Some of you are dealing with psychological issues, mental, psyche. Maybe it's binge eating. Maybe it's not eating. Consider yourself lucky and or blessed if you ain't dealing with nothing. Because I want to meet you. I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. And don't feel like if you don't have any heavy things like that, that you're, as far as trip ups go, that you're any less of a person or like that you need a story to be valuable or be somebody. Like, no, I commend you for having your together. Like, congrats. I want to be like you legitimately. And so that's the focal point here. I know I've talked a lot in other parts, but I wanted to catch you up in like how I got to the point where I'm asking for help. And even now I still go to therapy. Like I'm 8 years strong in therapy and it just feels so good. Do I still have faults, failures, or setbacks? Revisit some parts of my life that open up a wound and impact me? Absolutely. But that self awareness, that growth, that addressing, it feels so good. I feel so much better than where I was. Yes, I'm still dealing with emotional stuff. Yes, I have my meltdowns and I cry, or some people recently have seen me in a way like, dang, like, are you sure you don't go pop a pill or something? I'm good. Like I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm able to speak through certain trauma and not become emotional. Or if I do, or I dissociate, like I notice it, I'm aware. I am a little bit medicated now, but more so it's for like, y'all, I found out I got ADHD. I found out when I was 32 years old. Like, what? But that's because I didn't have no attention when I was raised. And I was getting A's and B's thinking that, well, he can't have ADHD if he's doing well in school. Wrong-o. So I just want to encourage you and empower you. I feel like that's one of my superpowers is really helping to support people and taking the next step that they should do and that they need to do. Like, I want to be your cheerleader. I want to support you. I want to help. I thoroughly care about people and want to see the best in them. Even if I've never met them, I just love seeing people do good. I really do. And if you have no one else that you can reach out to, I can't promise that I'm going to be able to reach out to everybody because the calls are starting to get a little bit bigger and more and that like reconnections. I love that. But if I can't do it, and I might not be the best person anyway, we might have an intro call or we talk a little bit, chit chat. But if I can direct you or support you and encourage you, yeah, I'm going to do it. I want to. I want to see you at your best and I want to hear your stories too. So go get help. Go get help. Go do it. After listening to this episode, set an alarm or a calendar invite to yourself, a notification that you're going to take some time and say, what are some areas of my life that need manhandling, that you need to take over, or woman handling, that you're like, okay, I need some help on this regard. My help, again, is a little bit extreme, was like, I need to stop finding my connection through this unhealthy activity and acting out in this way and having like trying to think that I'm disconnected from other human beings and then falling in love after one night. Like, y'all is messy out here because you can't be in love overnight. It's not possible. Don't lie to yourself, for real. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because it is getting late. Y'all need to go on with your day or night whenever you're listening to this. But remember, take care of yourselves. Remember, your trip up is your opportunity for a comeback that you will want to turn the page on. We're trying to get to triumphs. We're trying to get from this to, well, my son don't say anything about triumphs, but y'all know where I'm going with it, okay? So I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, wherever you are around the world. Remind yourself who you is. You is that person. You're a beautiful person inside and out. You were meant for something more, something greater outside of yourself. You are loved. You're a great person. I don't care what anybody else has told you. I don't care what lies they've spit at you. I don't care if your parents didn't treat you right, or if that other person didn't treat you right, or that person that was supposed to treat you right didn't treat you right. Someone is going to treat you right. And it's going to start with you treating yourself right. Until next time, I'm Nathan Cabrera, and thank you so much for listening and watching the Trip Ups and Triumphs podcast. Au revoir.